Hello and welcome to Bulls and Red, your go-to RB Leipzig podcast. Broadcasting straight from the heart of Leipzig, we bring you the latest buzz from the club, the fan base, and our vibrant city. Whether you're near or far, this is your ultimate home for all things RB Leipzig. Stay tuned, stay passionate, and let's ride the Rasenballsport wave together. Well, thank you for tuning in and thank you for listening to us. If you're new and you do like that podcast, do subscribe to it on your favorite platform. That would be much appreciated. So today we're just going to talk about the latest items. We have to have a look back at the match versus Mainz 05 and anything that happened in between this week. And also we're looking forward to our match at Freiburg. But first, let me welcome the brain of the podcast, Richard. How are you tonight?
Hey, Mario. Thank you. When we're recording, it's Thursday night. It's 8:30, and it's almost 30 minutes to kick off the UEFA Europa League playoff match, Ajax versus Frankfurt. And I will take a particular look at this match because on the 30th of April and 1st of March, I'm going to stay in Amsterdam.
Nice city.
And a nice city. And you know what? This particular day, this 1st of May, is the match day of the UEFA Europa League semifinals. And if I'm lucky, I will, and there's a tiny chance that I could attend a UEFA Europa League semifinal home game from Ajax Amsterdam. So I will keep my fingers crossed tonight for this guys from the Netherlands.
Okay, I'll keep my fingers crossed for you. But first, we have to talk about RB Leipzig and that match versus Mainz 05 last weekend. It was the weekend of Carnival in the western parts of Germany. Not so much over here in the east, but we had a little parade on Sunday with, it was short, but it was very funny. And Mainz is one of the main cities of Carnival. The big parades took place on Monday. But before that, on Saturday, they had to travel to Leipzig. They came out with a good crowd as well. I would say about 3,000 people from Mainz chanting Carnival songs before the match already, celebrating already. Then they were a bit quiet until they were winning, and they were winning, as we all know. But we do know that RB Leipzig started really well. They took a lot of strength from the match versus Wolfsburg on Wednesday when they progressed to the semifinals, where, of course, we're going to meet Stuttgart in Stuttgart. But that's a different story, and I'm sure we'll come to that at some point, but not today. And, we took the lead. Xavi pushed in a beautiful goal. It was like a pure power of will that pushed that ball in there. It was fast-paced football in the first 5 minutes. So everything looked hunky-dory. Weather was nice. And I thought, whoa, it's good to be optimistic. It's good to be here and we're going to win this. Well, and then the match progressed and I don't know what happened, but energy levels were gone. And they were subsiding, and Mainz got better and better. Fluent football, they got the second ball. They didn't create too many chances, just one big one before halftime, but you could already see that we would run into trouble. And of course, we're keeping one tradition. We're not really changing players. We're not really substituting any players early. So at halftime, nobody was subbed out or subbed in. And, match continued, but the first couple of minutes in the second half weren't so bad. RB Leipzig was still powerful and it's like they were getting back control, but the rest is, as they say, history. Mainz improved vastly. They were much quicker, much faster, much cleverer. I don't know how to describe that. It was a joy to watch them, to be honest. And my neighbor actually said, the lady was sitting next to me. She actually said, well, it's not a joy to watch them because Mainz now looks like Real Madrid. And they did. We never got the ball back. And 2 times they struck really quickly. Very nice goals. They could have struck another one a couple of minutes later when the ball hit the woodwork or aluminium. And, Leipzig never came back. Substitutes were quite late. Whatever came from the bench didn't provide any additional power. In the last couple of minutes, it seemed like the team was trying a lot of things, but nothing was really forcing the ball in. It didn't really look likely that the ball would actually go in. And a couple of players. I mean, Xavi was trying everything. He looked really worn out after the match, but gravity took its toll as well. Same with Openda. He lost the fight against gravity, especially in the second half. And poor Češko, I don't know what happened there. Every time he touched the ball, it didn't turn to gold. It turned to quite the opposite. So he looked clueless. So there was a lot of unrest or a little bit of noise in the second half, especially when Pete Gulaschi took his time to play the ball when he had the ball. He slowed the game down. And a lot of people would have attended the match versus Wolfsburg when Van der Voort was in goal, and he made the match really quick. He was like a player on the field. He was interested to make the proceedings very fast, very quick. Well, Pete Gulaschi took his time. Even, when we were 2-0 down, 2-1 down, he had loads of time. It was a bit like he was the quarterback, and everybody was getting into position. The defense was getting into position. He might call an audible. He may not call an audible. And everybody was waiting for his count, and the play started. It seemed a bit like that. That was annoying. A lot of people feel that were really frustrated by that. So that kind of accumulated into the 70th minute. But when the match was over, people were not so angry and so loud. There was not a lot of booing, but we were just speechless and clueless. That's how it felt. And after the match, of course, the team was out there. They made their rounds. Mainz was celebrating, also in the carnival style. And Marco Rose was out as well. So he went to each corner of the stadium, addressing the crowds, clapping. And he also was making contact with every player. So you kind of felt, okay, is this it? Is this his farewell round? But I think it wasn't, because it was none of these goodbye and hugs that you would get when somebody knows that he has to leave. So it didn't surprise me when we heard a little bit later that Marco Rose would actually stay and would also stay for the match versus Freiburg. But the feeling was really empty. We were, like I said, speechless, clueless. We weren't even angry, just empty. And that's how we felt. And I must admit, Richard, it hasn't really changed. It is still the same, and it's Thursday now. It's almost a week after the match and just a couple of days before the top match on the Saturday versus Freiburg. I'm not sure, but you probably feel similar, don't you?
Yeah, because there's no silver stream anywhere to be seen. There is no straw to get clutched. There's just nothing. And even more disappointing when you see what the lads are able to do, what they're capable to do in this cup match on Wednesday night, and then they're coming out with fierce and sheer power and go ahead with the early lead, and then after 5 to 10 minutes, they're just falling apart. Yeah. There's no cohesion anymore. There's no plan to be seen, and defensively, all that's just feeling like they're just standing around wondering what's going on. Like, oh my God, hey, that's cool how they can play. We could do that as well.
And sometimes, they sometimes can, and they demonstrated that already. But nowhere near often enough this season then.
Yeah, no such thing as consistency whatsoever. Yeah. And that's what's really concerning. And if you look at the last 16 matches, that's quite concerning, because only 4 wins out of the last 16 matches, and in that stretch only ranked 11, so like in the Rückrunden table right now. And so I don't see much hope that this could be a turnaround for the remainder of the season, especially if you look at the upcoming opponents we're going to face until May.
Next 2 are heavyweights, to be honest now. I never thought I would say that. Freiburg a heavyweight. Okay, Darmstadt, I almost said Darmstadt. Dortmund, of course. But next one at Freiburg. We'll talk about Freiburg in a minute. However, as the week progressed, on the Sunday, there was a lot of speculation that something would happen and Marc Rose would have to leave, but nothing happened. And it emerged that the management of Red Bull or RB Leipzig decided that he would stay in there, trying to avoid an interim coach, an interim solution. And of course, there are always names that people are throwing around. But that leaves me to think, that gives me the impression Marco Rose is probably going to finish the season and almost no matter what. But that's not really helpful for him. That's not really helpful for the team and for the club. And it feels to me that he's going to stay, but he's a lame duck. And the team is probably going to fall apart in the summer. And some of the really extraordinary good players are going to disappear. And that could happen to Xavi, although we just bought him. But maybe it's because, they just want to sell him on at a profit. And surely Šeško is a candidate to leave. Castello is another one, where RB Leipzig could make a lot of money. And maybe then we're going back to really young team and starting over. And some of the old folks, the legendary folks, including our Danish guy, might have to leave. But that's we can discuss that on a different day and speculate. But what is happening this week? Well, this week, nothing too much in the sense of anything regarding Marco Rose. There is speculation a little bit that players like Šeško would have to be sold in the summer, but that is still far off. 10 more matches are left. And RB Leipzig decided to go away from Leipzig, to concentrate, to go into a little place called Salzburg, to have a mini training camp and prepare for 2 days for the Freiburg match. And my first thought was, how convenient. They're going to Salzburg. So they're going to the headquarters of Red Bull. And that's convenient if you do want to discuss something in depth with Marcel Schäfer, the head of sports, and also Marco Rose. Really interesting. What do you think? I mean, this hasn't happened for a while. I can't recall that this ever happened, that they had to go into a mini training camp in the middle of the season. What do you think? Is it going to have any effect? Are they going to be coming out focused? And that's going to give us the 3 points that we need? What do you think, Richard?
I don't think so. I don't think so. It feels like it feels like desperation mode. It feels like, okay, we tried everything that we had in stock, and this is our last chance saloon. Yeah. And let's take out a very last card or anything that we have in stock and move abroad for a little training camp and see if that's gonna be the turnaround point, or at least a way to find back to winning ways. And if this not gonna work, and to be honest, I don't expect it to work, so then we're just definitely out of any idea left besides sacking some staff members. And you don't start with the heavyweights, you start with the lightest piece of the chain,
the bus driver,
so to speak. The bus driver and that lady that washes the jerseys.
Exactly.
Yeah. And right after those two, well, I think it's the head coach. But, well, your question was, do I think this is going to help? No, I don't think so. Because I cannot see how the options you have on the training pitch, or, athletics facilities, or video analysis rooms. Well, I think, although I've never been inside, but from all that I've read and I heard, it's always to be read and to be seen sometimes that we have one of the most sophisticated and well-equipped training grounds in the whole league, maybe in whole Europe. And so, well, what should be the difference in preparing for an away match if you're moving? This can only be a mental thing. That you try to get into the heads of your lads and, hey, help that they are getting focused better. But if this is the thing that's necessary, helping lads getting focused, well, wow, then these problems are very deep and concerning, because that should never be an issue, being on 100% concentration level if you're a Bundesliga player.
And it's also said this week quite often that it's not only a problem and an issue on one level, i.e. the coach, it's on various levels. That's what people suspect, and they have to work on. And maybe that could also be a reason to have this whole squad and the management and Marco Rose is part of Marco Rose's staff there to dive a little bit deeper. But I'm also not 100% sure what kind of impact that will have on our match on Saturday. However, it's positive that they're trying to get the group together and to focus. But, before I continue, I'd just like to point out it's Timo Werner's birthday today. He's 29. Best ager.
Really?
Yeah. Tottenham doesn't want him, but he's best ager. So congratulations. Happy birthday, Timo. Many happy returns.
Well, congratulations. Please never come back.
I said many happy returns. I'm sure he's not eager to come back to Leipzig. But
yeah, because,
first time was great.
Now, as we all could see how his career developed, it's pretty clear and obvious that he was a one-trick pony, because all he could do best and way better than any other guy is running fast.
Yeah, when he had space in front of him. Yep.
And since he's getting older, that's obviously not an advantage anymore as it was when he was younger. So thank you, Timo, for all your effort, for all your dedication. But now try to get to do something else.
Well, he can still play football, but maybe soccer. Maybe America is a good point. Maybe he wants to play with Emil again and that Chopo guy. Coolest soccer.
That league could suit to his playing style. Yeah, maybe.
Maybe that would be nice. We wish him all the best. Now, we do have a secret weapon up on our sleeves, to motivate the people, and that is our Heads of Sport publisher, writer Guido Schäfer. He's an ex-Bundesliga, I think second Bundesliga player of Mainz 05, and he moved to Leipzig many, many years ago, and he's been writing for the Leipziger Volkszeitung, which is a well-known Leipzig newspaper. And it's fair to say that he's one of the supporters of Marco Rose. He thinks Marco Rose should stay. And he has resorted to something which I think is quite interesting, and I quite like it. He wrote 12, his newspaper, which is actually behind a pay thingy. In his newspaper, he wrote 11 letters to 11 players, like the main players, telling them how good they are, to motivate them for the Freiburg match. And in these 11 letters, he explained very briefly what qualities they have and why they will contribute to a win in Freiburg. So I'm going to read them to you, and if you're bored, then you better jump to the next section. But I think it's a pretty good thing. So to make it less boring, I thought we'd play a little bit of music. So let me put that in there. And next one is for Willi Orban. Dear Willi, as a distinguished player of Hungarian-German descent, you bring strength and stability to the team in Freiburg. Your presence will offer support to others around you. You have the ability to turn challenges into enduring obstacles. Does that make sense? I don't know. Your performance is, as always, extremely impressive, and you are expected to strike at least once from a set piece. I'm looking forward to that. Now our next one, to Chat Bichabu, our number 5. Dear Chat, you are a family person, and anyone can see this, the fact that you're letting your beloved mother cook for you daily. How he's really spoiled. You needed your loved ones when a ligament in your knee gave way shortly after you started with RB Leipzig. Now you are in top shape, the athlete in the RB Leipzig team, with passing skills like Paolo Maldini. A single muscle you are. You, Chat, will either let the ball or the opponent pass you in Freiburg, never both. Interesting. Number 3, Lucel Gertruda, or I don't know how you actually pronounce it, Lucha. You are a bulldozer. You could flatten the highway from Leipzig to Rotterdam in the morning with your primal strength. Bulldoze in defense or central midfield in Freiburg in the evening, and after the final whistle, you could pull the team's bus, which is stuck in the Breisgau swamp, behind you. In Riesa, now that's a city close to Dresden, they would shout, "Full Buster power ahead, Lucerel." Riesa is a famous city in which famous pasta has been produced for many, many years, and that's why. So, just to explain that. Number 17, Riedle Baku. Dear Riedle, before you were born, this almost serious prayer was making the rounds in Mainz. Boy or girl? Doesn't matter, as long as the boy is healthy. You, Riedler, are a Mainz boy. You have to help yourself and another Mainz boy, Marco Rose, in Freiburg. You are two-footed, lightning fast, great on the ball, Riedler. You will show all of that on Saturday. Actually, Riedler Baku is one of the players who's impressed me last week, I must say. Number 22, David Raum. Dear David, you provided us with 2 trophies in your first season, and you have long been the best German left back. You, David, stand out in every RB Leipzig game. At the training camp in Salzburg, you will pass around a crate of beer and become a Goliath in Freiburg. At the end of the season, you will have a new tattoo on your chest which reads March 8, 2025, 2-1 in Freiburg. I was there. Quite a long one. He's got a broad chest, doesn't he? Number 18, Arthur Vermeeren. Dear Arthur. Others still run around the Christmas tree, or others still ran around the Christmas tree with a rattle in their hand at 18 or 19 years old, and they are more afraid of kicking the ball than expressing patriotic love. You survived Diego Simone's whip at 18 and 19. You played like a well-matured professional in the victorious tie versus Wolfsburg. People in the years to come will not stop talking about King Arthur's sharpness in Breisgau, i.e. Freiburg, after this Saturday. Number 44, Kevin Kumpel. Dear Kevin, if you were to be pushed into a CT scanner for layer examination, the next logical trip would be to the imaginary Hall of Fame to receive a Medal of Honor for hard workers. You, Kevin, have sacrificed essential parts of your body on the altar of success. It was Freiburg when in May 2023 you set the RB Leipzig train on track towards the Champions League qualification. Kevin, just do it again, please. And number 11, Gold Penta, Luis Openda. Dear Luis, whatever. You have a body painted by Michelangelo or carved in alabaster, respectively. Your center of gravity, a la Gerd Müller, allows you to maneuver so that your opponent's necks turn into spiral staircases in Freiburg. They will see the Luis, who once scored 2 unbelievable world-class goals in Manchester and showed Pep Guardiola where the Belgian frog has curls. Interesting. Number 10, Xavi Simons. Dear Xavi, after your first season at RB Leipzig, mail piled up in your Markleberg penthouse. Markleberg is close to Leipzig. The please say yes letters from Manchester, Munich and Madrid will only come in for a second time if you, Xavi, put your problems with gravity to rest and stop complaining in mid-air. Everyone knows that the turnaround is only possible with you. By now, you know that too, Xavi. You got sent. And last not but least, number 30, Benjamin Sheshko. Dear Benjamin, you are on a straight path to the elite. Playing your last season in Leipzig, you'll leave behind a lot of money and friends in Leipzig because you will do Sheshko-like things in Freiburg and you'll help to win the DFB Pokal, and like that, you also help Leipzig to milk the golden goose of the Champions League football next season. You, Benjamin, are kissed by the muse and gaffer Marco Rose, and you know what payback time means. So there you go. A little bit of motivation for the team, a little bit of looking back at their resources, their qualities. And I just hope this is one of the things that helps to make them win on Friday. Wow, didn't know the music ended. It's a sign, Richard. Shall we look at our next opponent?
Let's go.
Introducing our next opponent, their Gegnercheck.
Well, we said it several times, but it's SC Freiburg, isn't it?
Yes, it's SC Freiburg.
Last time we talked about SC Freiburg, we were much more optimistic.
And in the end, you were right.
And it was the last match to be optimistic because everything went downhill after Dortmund.
Yeah, basically everything went downhill after Freiburg, to be honest. Because
you meant, yeah, I meant that, yeah. You're right.
Yeah, looking back to this point in the season, when the season started, we took away the home win versus SC Freiburg, and it was our 6th win in the 8th match. And, it seems like so incredibly far away, but...
like a different season, to be honest. Like a different year. Well, it was a different year, but...
Yeah, well, it was a different year, but it was the same season. And after that win, at least for 24 hours, we were at the top of the table.
Top of the league.
We were top of the league after we took away the 3-1 home win. But I do remember very well, I was in the stands with my little daughter and a friend of her and a colleague, or a former colleague, so to speak. And I was like, we were behind 1-0. And I think after the first 45 minutes, we were pretty lucky that it was only 1-0 behind, because Freiburg had some other very high-class chances. I remember this Adomu chance where he was all alone with like 10 meters around him, no one, no opponent, and not a Freiburg player, and he somehow managed to put the ball beneath the left goal post, and not into the back of the net. And I'm still wondering how that could happen. And then it was, just like symbolic that Doan put it into the back of the net with a header. That guy is like 150 or something like that, and the leg of Benny Hendricks wasn't long enough, and then he put it down with the header. But that was the only, not the only chance that Freiburg had. So I mentioned it. Adomu chance, the goal. Grifo had a decent shot, and it was Dingchi with a good chance. And if you look back into that match and compare it to the matches that we had to watch in the months after that, there seemed to be, in Germany we would say, Vorboten, like a prequel of anything that happened after that. So because just poor defending, and remember before that match we only conceded 2 goals, and it was in the Liverpool match.
Wasn't it best defense of the league? Yeah,
the best defense of the league.
Great.
And they had so many chances, and I was asking myself, okay, how could that happen? And then it was like, I remember, after the first 35 minutes, and especially the last 6-7 minutes before halftime, I was like, okay, it's the first match without Xavi, because he suffered his injury in the Liverpool match that few days before, and I was like, okay, so it's Baumgartner on, and Xavi is an important piece in midfield, and you cannot expect that everything runs smooth with the change of such an important player.
Can I ask you a stupid question? Was Schlager back at that time?
No, he wasn't.
Wasn't either. Okay.
No. So and then we just got lucky, and in the second half, in the second 45 minutes, because it went all the way into our direction. First of all, we had that free on the left side, and then Campbell brought it in, and it was cleared first attempt at Freiburg, but then the second effort from Campbell, and it was really Orban who had his legs and his foot, and just through the 5-hole of, I think it was Kübler, and so Otto Bolo was allowed the chance. And so that, but first goal, the equalizer, came particularly from a set piece, and the other 2 goals came by counterattacks. And that's somehow what's so long called, or was called, the RBL day, recovering the ball, and then, just putting the foot on the gas full throttle, and then try to do it in the first 8, 9, 10 seconds. And basically that happened. So, and then the 2-1, the go-ahead goal, that came by Rettreider. There was this recovered ball in midfield, and then it just went quick, and it was Openda with the crosser that was deflected. I think it was Lienhardt who deflected it, luckily, to Rettreider, and he had so much space to maneuver and just put it into the back of the net. And we were lucky as well, because Adubolo had his hand on it, and it was deflected and just underneath the crossbar. So they could have been easily not went into the back of the net. And I think, it feels like if we would have put ourselves into a situation now, he would missed it. Yeah. It would have been saved.
Yeah.
And the last one, it was also a counterattack. I think it was Baumgartner who was with the ball recovery in midfield, and then it was Silva with the assist.
Who?
And Openda with all his speed just around Atubolo, and then put it just over the line. And that was basically the game told. So it was not that we had a strong second half. We did just enough to come away with the win. And it feels like, okay, as long as it goes like that, I'm fine with that. But after that match, things developed horribly.
Completely derailed.
Absolutely, completely.
Yeah.
So I mentioned it a few minutes ago. After that match, there was 16 more Bundesliga matches, and we only had 4 wins and 6 draws. So this is basically just 18 points out of 16 matches.
Wow.
So 1.13 per game. We only scored 25 goals and conceded 30. And in that stretch, we are in the ranked 11th, only 4 points clear of Kiel. 4 points clear of Kiel in that stretch. And Kiel is ranked number 16 in that particular, the dynamic table, so to speak. So considering we would have started that, then we would have been in the middle of nowhere after, almost one half of the season. So now 16 games played right now in that view. And we had to worry about, keeping clear of the
relegation zone,
relegation spot. Well, and, Freiburg in that stretch had like 25 points. So 7 wins, 4 draws, and it's ranked in 7th place. So pretty much where they're right now.
Yeah.
To be fair, most of them, so more than 50% of all their points they gained, came out of the last 5 matches. So there are 4 wins, 1 draw, without any goal conceded, 13 points out of that stretch, 3 1-0 wins versus Bochum, Heidenheim, and St. Pauli. And that, just a little bit too high win versus Werder Bremen with a 5-0. I watched that game. I think it was a Friday night game. And it felt like, okay, Bremen was not good that evening, but they did not deserve conceding 5. And last Sunday, a little bit lucky, but, they draw 0-0 at Augsburg. So they're on a good stretch right now. We are not in the last 5 games, but if you look into our history, and, in Germany, we like to talk about opponents that you're on, somehow don't fit your playing style, that you're having issues to deal with. We describe this as an Angstgegner. And I think we're some kind of that Angstgegner for SC Freiburg because...
Really?
We are. We talked about it in the first...
and it still doesn't feel like it.
And it's still true. When we have never lost there since they moved from the Dreisamstadion
into that beautiful little stadium they got now, where people throw with coins.
Indeed.
Now Silva's bucketed off to Bremen because of that. No.
Maybe. So we never lost there. We won 3 times, actually. I think it was 3 times and one draw anyway. So the last time we lost at Freiburg or any match versus Freiburg is back in October 19. And since then we played them 12 times, including those 2 cup matches. And so that's the thing that makes me quite optimistic. Or a little not quite, but
that is pessimistic.
A little bit of optimism comes down there.
It's difficult right now.
It's like, okay, we're obviously Freiburg got some issues when they're facing RBL. So, okay, one day that streak will come to an end, and it's more likely than not that this will be the case on Saturday night.
Saturday could be a good day for them, yeah.
Yeah, maybe. But that team is just strong, and I think it's got something to do, and we talked about it earlier as well, with stability. And I looked into their roster, and basically all of their players that you're watching week after week after week have been there last season. There are one addition that is Jan Niklas Beste, who came in the winter out of Portugal.
He's pretty good.
He's pretty good. And then you have Patrick Osterhager. I think he joined from Bochum. And then there's Eren Dingchi, who was, I think, with Bremen last season. So those 3 guys and all the other names, and you know them all because they're playing for so long there. It's Doan, it's Eggestein, Günther, Lienhardt, Ginter, Grifo, of course, Vincenzo Grifo, Kübler, Röhl, Höfler, Sedia, Gregoritsch. All those players are playing at Freiburg for like at least one season, most of them many, many more years. And that kind of stability, and if you're putting together a squad that fits together and performing good, you never get into real trouble. And with all this individual quality that they have, they are almost every season somehow a contender for European business, but never in the near of getting relegated. And that's
true. That's a big accomplishment, especially
it's
for
an interesting,
Freiburg,
and it's interesting. It's an interesting model that they're doing. And when we faced them in Leipzig back in, I think it was in October. It was a sunny day. 8 players of their roster have played there for the youth teams. It's
outstanding work
as well.
Yeah,
of course, and I do respect that. Well, so this is a very experienced team. They're playing well together, and they have. If you want to search for any weaknesses, I think it's their offense. So okay, they have a strong midfield with Grifo and Doan, of course, but in the very first row, it's almost only Höhler or Adamu. So basically, they both are struggling scoring that season. Although I like Adamu, I think he's a little bit underrated, and although he's now almost 24 years old, I think we will see much more of him in the future, because he did not really have experience in adult football. I think it's the second season with Freiburg. He was at Salzburg that season before, had some appearances in the Champions League with Salzburg. Anyway, I think now he played like 17 matches. He started 11 matches. He started versus Leipzig. Just mentioned that chance that he somehow bottled. I think that's a dangerous player, because he is clever, he's smart, he is fast, and usually he is clinical in front of the net. So, but this season, it's not like he's not able to put it all in play. So that brings me to one conclusion, because they are struggling scoring goals. Well, maybe 1 or 2 goals from ourselves would be enough. Could be the game winner. And are our lads suitable scoring 1 or 2 goals? Yes, we are. They are every time. And the other minor weakness is they're lacking with speed in their last row. So Ginter and Lienhardt, are not the very fastest guys. And we saw that. And I mentioned how we scored the goals in our home match versus Freiburg.
It's always speed.
It's always speed, and that's what's going to help us. And we have to find a way to do this again. So basically, not trying to go for the ball possession game. So like I explained it so many times, and before the men's match too, but I think we had the ball too often. So try to hand the ball over to SC Freiburg and try to concentrate counter-attacking. And then I think we have not a good chance, but at least we have a chance here to come away with the win. Anyway, okay. So conclusion, there are no player I would like to emphasize here, but in general, this is a very balanced, with huge experience and always dangerous. And, usually they don't lose at home.
Yeah.
So it's going to be heck of a task. Saturday, prime time, 6:30, whole world is watching. And
Of course.
And, my wish is a 1-0, an ugly 1 win. But I like to quote a very famous coach. It's not a wish concert.
Life's not a ponyhofer.
Yes, it's true as well. So I do expect it to be the very last match of Marco Rose.
Whoa, meaning a draw or we lose?
Yeah, I think it's going to be, what I do expect from an not fan-based view, I think it's going to be a devastating loss. I think we're going to lose like 3 or 4 goal margin.
Really? Well, I'm not that pessimistic, but I can't even see a draw at the moment. So 2-1 to Freiburg. But of course, hoping for a much better result. Anyways, should we look at who Marc Rose is going to send on the pitch?
Liebe Fußballfans, wir kommen jetzt zu unserer heutigen Mannschaftsaufstellung.
Well, besides any long-term injuries, Baumgartner is back from his 1-game, 5-card yellow card suspension. So I think Gulaschi is coming back into the goal. Bichabu, Orban, and Radreida as our back three. Raum and Baku, of course, because no alternatives on the outside. There's outside positions here. I think Haidara will get a break.
Okay.
I would like to see Vermeeren from the very beginning next to Campbell. And then, of course, Xavi Simons as an offensive midfielder, and Šeško and Openda. I don't see Yusuf Paulsen to get away with a start here.
Okay. So let's just see what happens. Keep our fingers crossed. And we'll support them anyway. And we're going to be there versus Dortmund. So, guys, thank you for listening. That's much appreciated. This has been Bosen Red, RB Leipzig podcast of directly from Leipzig to everyone, wherever you are. It doesn't matter where you are. We just appreciate you guys listening to us. If you like this podcast, we'd be grateful if you subscribe to it. We'll be back next week, guys. Have a wonderful weekend. And all I need to say now is Dankeschön, Richard. Thank you, Richard. And auf geht's, Leipziger Jungs.